Hello world, welcome back to Razor RC. Wanted to shoot a quick video today talking about the TLR 22 5.0 SR build and let you know how my build went. So I picked this up a week ago. This is the TLR 2250 SR version. They also make a DC and an AC version, but I picked up the SR, which is the spec racer. So I picked it up a week ago and then spent the weekend basically building it, and then also got a chance to run it this week, so had a little bit of experience running it. But just want to talk about the build real quick, the good, the bad, and then also kind of some tips, stuff I noticed. First of all, I just want to apologize for my voice. I'm fighting a bit of a cold, so I got kind of this nasal congestion thing, and probably a little mouth breathing as well in this video, so I apologize for that in advance. But yeah, let's talk about the build. So here it is, the TLR 2250 DC SR. So they got a single manual for this version. The AC, I guess, will come with its own manual, but this is what comes in the kit. And then here's my actual buggy. So pretty sweet looking little body. I actually spent a little more time than usual on this, painting it out just to make it a little prettier. That's the body, held on by Velcro. Pop off the wheels and tires, which I'm running J Concepts Octagons right now. And so my particular kit, electronics wise, I'm running a Savox 1258TG servo, pretty common servo. Hobbywing Just Stock XR10 ESC. The Sanwa RX 46, what is that? I always forget what this is. 481 receiver, little wireless one. And then a Reedy 17.5 S Plus motor. And then I'm running a full-size battery. So altogether, this is weighing in at 1493 grams. I don't have a transponder in there yet, so it'll probably be close to 1500 when it's all said and done. Probably going to add a little bit of weight here and there somewhere, but haven't quite gotten that to quite gotten to that yet. So the good, as usual, TLR has pre-cut wings, front and rear, pre-cut body. You do have to notch this out yourself, but otherwise it's completely pre-cut. Pre-cut stickers, comes with wheels, so a lot of niceties in the box to make life easier for you. Also, all of the bags come with the parts in individually labeled bags, and you just run them through A, B, C, D, etc. One at a time. You don't have to go fumbling through other bags to try to find parts for different steps. So I always appreciate that about the TLR builds. Interesting things I noticed, the transmission has an adjustable idler gear, so there's actually 4 different heights for the idler in addition to the actual diff. So as you can see here, the diff has got inserts right there. I think I'm running the +1, and then also has adjustable idler, so you have different inserts for that. So make sure you match the idler insert to the diff insert. That's something Team Associate does not do, so their mesh is probably not quite as good as the TLR. So it's kind of cool to see that TLR probably has a little bit better transmission mesh. Also, the transmission fit together really, really well. A lot of stiff as all parts in this, so you definitely want to watch out for black grease on all the threads that are going into stiff as all parts. But the transmission is nice and tight. Everything fit together really, really well. They say to use black grease on the transmission gears. I don't think you need to do that. It's got a plastic or composite idler gear and a composite diff. And only the top shaft is aluminum, so you really don't getting any metal on metal wear there. So for a spec racer, I think it's probably a little better just to run it dry. Lots of extra hardware. They even include this hardware bag that I didn't really know what that was in the unboxing, but this is actually just a bag of a bunch of spare parts, body clips, wheel nuts, extra screws, washers, spacers, all that good stuff. So really, really pretty excited to see that. I mean, that's new. I've never had a kit that had all that many spare parts. I guess, even though this probably cost them a few dollars to throw that in the kit, it was nice to see, and certainly unexpected bonus there. Stuff to watch out for. Actually, one more thing I want to point out is that the actual preload adjusters have a little groove on them. There's a little arrow that show you where I guess kind of an indicator to help you match up the left and right together. So that's the first time I've seen that. A lot of people actually will put a little groove with like a Dremel or something into their preload adjuster. So whenever they're making, you know, let's say a half rotation adjustment on, they can make sure it's always even on both sides. But kind of neat to see that Team Associate actually has that already in there. You can see it right there. On that shock right there, so that's pretty cool. Tips: the build was a little bit different than most TLR kits, so they actually go inside out, so that you actually start with like the differential. And the other funny thing is for the SR build, you actually start on page 44. So I think there's a little bit of text right at the front, giving you a little explanation on how to actually use this. Let's see if we can get to that here. Here you go. So kit manual organization, blah blah. So if you're on the 5.0 DC, it actually says to start on page 9. If you're on the SR, you start on page 43. Go steps A1 through A4 to 44. Then you go back to B1 on page 11 through F4. Then you go to page 21 and jump then to F5 on page 45, and then go through. So it's really really weirdly organized manual for the SR build. The DC one is pretty typical, but basically you always make sure you go A through, you know, H or whatever it is. With the SR build, you actually start here. Actually tells you SR A1 through A4, so you do the SR spec diff, and then I started doing F5 because I didn't know. I was just reading this, you know, step by step. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I do the transmission now. But actually, you need to go back and do B through E back in the original front part of the menu of the DC build. So that was kind of weird, and I thought that I was missing steps or something. But so a little bit of a tricky layout. Instructions are a little bit weird. Some other weird stuff I noticed in the menu here on page 25. So, you know, it looks like you've got the screw going in here on this hole, and then you've got this thing mounted to that hole. It's actually not. This line, I guess, is trying to line up with that screw, which goes into that hole, but just kind of I don't know, optical illusion or something there. The other thing I noticed, which is kind of funny, is that here in the gear ratio, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here you go. So the transmission ratio, if you speak English, it's 2.43. I guess if you speak German, it's 2.42. It must be that wacky European metric system they got over there. So I thought that was funny. Depending on what language you speak, it may be a different ratio. That's not true. I'm sure that's some sort of typo there. Other than that, I didn't really notice anything else. Oh, one more thing about the manual. There are no setup sheets, so you will have to go online and print some, including the kit setup or a blank setup. If you want a setup sheet, it's not in the manual. I'm sure they'll fix that. Yeah, I think that was pretty much in terms of the actual build. No real problems. You know, put together totally fine, no missing parts or anything like that. Some of the parts were a little bit hard to put together, like the inserts on the C block here. For whatever reason, I like jammed them in. They were like crazy tight. The D block inserts are fine, but the C block, I mean, I was pretty much using a set of pliers to get those in. Other things I found funny, the shocks still use 3.5mm shock spacers, even though the shock shafts are now 3mm. So they just kind of float a little loose on the shock shafts, those little internal spacers to adjust basically the length. A little weird. It would have been nice to see them actually include 3mm spacers. Other stuff, you will need a 0.05 inch driver. So the piston screws actually, they look like they're 1.3mm, but my 1.3mm was too big, so you will need a 0.05 inch driver. You also need 5mm nut drivers for like these things. Even a good idea probably to use 2 of them, just so you can hold one on each side as you tighten both sides down. And then the last thing I noticed is that the rear chassis here actually thins out. So the whole chassis is 2mm. Then all the way here in the back, maybe I can flip over, you can see a little bit better on this side. All the way in the back, they've actually thinned it out even more. So they have kind of this kick up, and then it goes down to like 1mm or so. So I'm not sure if that's going to wear 1mm or 1.5mm, where that is. It is very, very thin in the back there. Definitely there's quite a bit of flex in the rear, but hopefully that is not a durability issue. So I think that's it for my review of the build. Fit together pretty well. no major issues. You know, the manual maybe needs a little work, but overall build was good as usual. I do think TLR puts together very nice builds, just the way they organize the parts, the way things tend to fit together. Yeah, high quality kit, and you can tell. So anyways, that's pretty much it for my build review video. Please like, subscribe to my channel as always. Hit the subscribe button, hit the add notifications button, and I'm gonna be running this for a couple more weeks and then doing a full review once I've got some more experience under my belt. So anyways, thanks for watching. Take care.